Okay, well, call to order the City of Douglasville's City Council Legislative Work Session for today, which is Thursday, August 17th. We have already had our invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance, and we do have one presentation before we go into our agenda items. And this presentation is a proclamation for National Payroll Week, which is September 4th through the 8th, 2017. And I will read the proclamation. If there are representatives, if you would come forward at this time. Thank you, and as you're coming, I'll read the proclamation and then present it to you, and we'll have a photo up after. Thank you for being here tonight. You can give us your name and address for the record, and then I'll read the proclamation.
Hi, my name is Irena Mill. My address is 6884 Tara Oaks Drive, Riverdale, Georgia.
My name is Angela Garman. I live at 6668 Marsh Avenue, Lithia Springs, Georgia.
Thank you so much, ladies, for being here this evening. This National Payroll Week, September 4th through the 8th, whereas the American Payroll Association and its more than 21,000 members have launched a nationwide public awareness campaign that pays tribute to the more than 150 million people who work in the United States and the payroll professionals who support the American system by paying wages, reporting work earnings, and withholding federal income tax, employment taxes, and payrolls. Professionals in Douglasville, Georgia play a key role in maintaining the economic health of Douglasville, carrying out such diverse tasks as paying into the unemployment insurance system, providing information for child support enforcement, and carrying out tax withholding reports and depositing. And payroll departments collectively spend more than $2.2 trillion annually complying with a myriad of federal and state wage and tax laws. And whereas payroll professionals play an increasingly important role ensuring the economic security of American families by helping to identify non-custodial parents and making sure they comply with the child support mandates. And payroll professionals have become increasingly proactive in educating both the business community and the public at large with the payroll tax withholding systems. And whereas payroll professionals meet regularly with federal and state tax officials to discuss both improving compliance with government procedures and how compliance can be achieved at less cost to both government and businesses. And whereas the week in which Labor Day falls, a nice holiday, we're all off, has been proclaimed National Payroll Week, September 4th through the 8th, 2017. Now, therefore, I, Rochelle Robinson, Mayor of the City of Douglasville, Georgia, do recognize and hereby give additional support to the efforts of the people who work in Douglasville, Georgia, and the payroll professional by proclaiming the first week, full week of September, Payroll Week for Douglasville, Georgia, so proclaimed this 17th day of August. Thank you so much. We'll come around and give you a picture. Okay, thank you so much. That was the announcements and presentations. We'll move on to the first committee, which is Public Safety, and that is chaired by Councilmember Sam Davis.
Yes, ma'am. I called the order. Item A, request for an alcohol beverage license for the retail package sale of wine and malt beverages at the following establishment licenses: Target Corporation, DBA Target Stores, T. 1172, location 2950 Chapel Hill Road. Proposed agent outlet manager, Mark McCroft. The required fees have been paid into the finance department. Will the applicant please come down? State your name and address for the record, please, sir.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Mark Mycroft. I live at 107 Glenda Court, Villa Rica, Georgia, 30180. And here today for the application of the liquor license.
And there'll be some questions from the council, so, and I'll start out with Councilor Stiegel. No comments?
Not related to alcohol beverage, but I'd spend a lot of money for going back to school.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other council?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr.
Yes, sir.
Mycroft, is this a renewal or a change of the alcohol license, or is this something you all are applying for the first time?
It's the first time for our location. Now, Target has had applications for their other stores, but the Douglasville store has not yet. So this will be an application.
Have you been included in, I'm assuming then that Target has a company-wide process and
We have a
schedule.
training program, and our POS systems are ready to help the cashiers and everything through that as well. And then we have a very extensive safety and everything as well.
Okay, so you have been trained through that corporate system.
Yes, sir.
Have you had any experience with the sale of alcohol at another location or in any other part of your
In previous
livelihood?
jobs, yes, and then at other locations at Target as well, I have.
Thank you very much. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Council Miller? You good? Okay. Thank you, sir. If you come back on Monday, and we'll give you a decision, okay?
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Item B, authorize the mayor to sign the U.S. Department of Justice Equitable Sharing Agreement and Certification Form detailing the use of federal drugs funds by the City of Douglasville Police Department during fiscal year 2017, July 1st, 2016, June 30th, 2017. And Chief, you want to expound on that a little bit?
But this is usually certification that we have to do for the asset forfeiture funds that we receive mainly from the DEA. We have a officer assigned to the DEA as a task force officer, and we did receive some funds from the Treasury Department, and it breaks down exactly what we use those funds for. So we have to report this back to the Justice Department each year.
Okay, I move on to item C. Authorize the Police Department to submit an application for the 2017 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant in the amount of $18,525. Chief, do you have that?
Yes, the Byrne grant is a grant, no funds being spent by the city. It's a grant where we're going to buy some items that we feel we need to help our officers to provide safety for the community. The total amount that we will be spending is $18,503.99. We will be buying some holsters for our officers right now, and some holsters where they can have a rail system and they could put lights on their weapons. Right now, they just have their weapon and then they have to have flashlight in their other hands. This will give our officers the capability of having a free hand when they, if they have to. Hopefully, they don't have to pull out the weapon, but this will help the light be attached to their handgun. Also, we will purchase some Rock River Arms carbine rifles. Each one of our officers is equipped with 223s rifles. So this will help us maintain that as well. And we will buy some pancake holsters for our detective division. So that's what we're going to be utilizing those funds for.
Okay, and how long you think it'll take once you get the grant? What's the time limit?
I think we probably would be able to purchase these items pretty quickly in a month or so.
Okay, thank you.
I'm
Any
sorry,
questions?
Mr. Chairman, I did have a question.
Yes.
And this is just an explanation, it's really just from our own curiosity. With the Streamline 69260 lumen for the flashlight attachment, so they will not have a flashlight anymore, or they'll have an additional light on their firearm?
They will have a light attached to their handgun.
Yes, sir.
Right now, we don't have that type of capability. So we're gonna have to buy new holsters that would accommodate and attach flashlight to the weapon.
So what if you just need the flashlight?
Well, they have the other flashlight, but, they could detach it.
Okay,
But
so,
they can detach it, but here's, plus they have the other flashlight if they have the ones that we do have now.
yes, sir.
In a situation where they go clearing a room, something of that nature, they can pull the weapon out and the flashlight is there. They won't have to be going down like this, trying to, and then they have a free hand. So it's just a tactical
Yes, sir.
employment, better tactical employment for our officers.
I understand, it was the sight. I understand what you're saying. I just thought about if you just need a regular flashlight.
Oh, yes,
Without
ma'am.
pulling out your weapon, you just use a flashlight. Okay. Thank you, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any more questions? Okay, I'll move on to D, authorize the mayor to sign a task order with ACON Technical Services, INC for engineering services in connection with the planned expansion of the parking lot near the community center at the public police.
This is for the parking area at the public safety facility. When the property was built 6 years ago, the contractor was there, and it was in the plans to put the parking area in there at that time. But at some point in time during construction, it was decided that the parking area would not be put out there. And so as a result, the slope over near that property, that part of the property was sloped in at a different elevation than would have been needed for that parking lot. And so it requires us to come back with a different set of plans. And so AECOM can perform the preliminary work and the engineering work for $23,000, and that'll put us in place to be able to put this out for bid for contract work and have this installed.
So, Greg, AECON will determine how many parking spaces you can get in that spot?
I believe we talked about an approximate 25, and I could look back, and I don't want to tell you the wrong number, but I'm going to tell you approximately 25 spaces. And so, but I can clarify that for you.
But would you, and because I'm sure, the council would like to know how
Yes,
many
sir.
going in and how far it'll be from the road. Okay, any, Council?
So when I'm facing the police municipal court complex, off to the right, there's plenty of parking. What we're talking about here is on the left in front of the community room, where there's currently a few handicap spaces. We're talking about adding parking there, correct?
That's right. And so it would have been lined up more in front of the community center had it been originally installed, but now to be more toward the other building slightly. But that's where we're talking about. But it's the drainage area that's got to be dealt with here, and hydrology is a big part of adding a parking area.
And this is one of the items we have on our public safety bucket for the SPLOST expenditures.
Anyone else? Thank you, Greg. Okay, item E, adopt an ordinance amend section 10-1 and to enact section 10-7-1F and to 10-43 for the alcoholic beverage ordinance to authorize the sale of growlers by retail malt beverage licenses with self-beer kegs. Susan, can you expound on that?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, this would allow package sellers of beer to break a keg down into smaller saleable package units. It will not benefit anyone who sells by the drink, since we don't have any local brew clubs. Restaurants will not be able to do this. Also, any seller of liquor, whether by the package or by the drink, will not be able to do that either.
Okay. Do we have any questions from the council? Okay. Item F, thank you, Susan. Adopt an ordinance enacting section 10-71 of the Alcoholic Beverage Ordinance to authorize prorated license fees for certain new applicants. Susan, can you help us?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, every now and again we have a brand new business come to town and start business and needs an alcohol license for the first time after January the 1st, who hasn't had one in Douglasville before. This would allow them to get a lower license rate, but in no event could anyone get a license fee for less than 3 months.
It would be prorated, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There's no other question. I'll move on to item G. Thank you. Adopt a ordinance to amend section 10-1 of the Alcoholic Beverage Ordinance to adopt various definitions provided by the state law. Susan.
Mr. Chairman, the state law defines beer a little bit differently than our ordinance does. The state is said that licensees can now sell at a higher alcohol content, and we need to match that so that we'll be like the state. There are also a couple of new definitions that we don't have, like fortified wine and such as that need to be added to your ordinance.
Okay. I'll move on to item H. Adopt an ordinance to amend section 10-146 through 1-149, a section of 10-151 of the Alcoholic Beverage Ordinance of the Code of the City of Douglasville to eliminate the requirements for pouring license to obtain a Sunday sale permit for sale of Sunday and alcoholic by the drink. Please expound on that, Susan.
Yes, sir. Currently, licensees who have a pouring license, if they want to serve on Sunday, must get a separate Sunday sales permit, whereas package sellers don't have to have a separate permit. Most local governments have eliminated their Sunday sales permits so that anyone who has an alcohol license can sell on Sunday as well, and that's the proposal here.
Now we fall in line with some of the other cities, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Douglas
In the
County.
yeah.
Okay, if the council approve, I'd like to put B through H on the consent agenda for Monday night.
Okay with that?
Okay? All right, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on to Community and Economic Development Committee, and that's chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Under
welcome.
Community and Economic Development tonight, we have one item. That's adopt a resolution authorizing participation of Douglas Acquisition LLC in the city's incentive tax plan for Douglas Acquisition LLC's proposed $30 million expansion of its existing manufacturing facility. Ms. Hampton, you handling that item?
I am handling that item. Just for a few minutes, I'll ask Mr. Michael Cahill if he would ask Chris Pumphrey. He'll come to help me with that item. He just had to step out for a few moments. As you know, Medline is a company that's been working or operating in the city of Douglasville for some time. They've been a good partner with the city of Douglasville. They are looking to expand, and with that, Chris Pumphrey will come in and talk to you all about his work with the Development Authority and what their interests are and what they're asking for consideration from the city of Douglasville. And I will turn it over to Chris.
Thank you, Ms. Hampton. Council and Madam Mayor, you'll find a couple of attachments showing the resolution and also the tax incentive agreement. I do believe that this would be not a repeat process, but a process that we've gone through prior with them in their previous expansion. With that, I'll welcome Mr. Pumphrey. Sir, if you would give us your name and address for the record.
Sir, Chris Pumphrey, 8512 Bowden Street, Douglasville. Sorry, I was outside. My son's having soccer tryouts, so I was trying to watch it while you all were discussing. Yes, as was mentioned, we have been working with Project Alexander, which we have, I guess, are now able to officially define as Medline Industries. Medline has been in Douglas County for a number of years. They started out here with a distribution operation on Riverside Parkway and then evolved to add a manufacturing line to their location. They purchased an additional building and now have 385 employees in that facility manufacturing adult incontinence products, which most are commonly referred to as adult diapers. But they have been a leader in the non-woven industry in producing this product and are primarily producing it as a private label and manufacturing that product and are expanding tremendously. They have shifted their distribution operation out of that facility. They have built a new facility in South Fulton, which is primarily a distribution operation, to make room for more manufacturing space here locally. So it's a great win for our community. We are working to help enable them continue to invest into this facility here. For this project, they are adding an additional $30 million of capital investment in machinery and equipment, adding an additional 25 jobs or thereabout, paying an average wage of $24.86 an hour, which actually is an increase of their average wage in prior years. So the company is continuing to expand and have exceeded their prior goals for jobs in that facility, thus the 385 jobs they currently have today, and we're quite certain that the 30 jobs, they will exceed that as well. They've been very involved in our community. They've been a part of our community and economic development strategic plan, providing a lot of leadership, working closely with us on workforce issues and kind of partnering together in that regard, and really looking to be more of a voice here in our community. So we've been talking with them about other opportunities to get involved in the community, and they're very excited about that. So look to see the name Medline a whole lot more in the coming months and years.
Thank you, Mr. Pumphrey. You've answered, I would imagine, most of the questions that I had, and I'll ask this question of you and of staff, and then I want to make sure that the council has opportunity and Madam Mayor to ask any questions. Is there any part of any prior agreement that we have had with Medline, and I know that we've had at least one and possibly two already because they have undergone an expansion. Is there anything anywhere that they have failed to exceed the expectations and the regulations that are tied to these type of tax incentive agreements? And I open that to you and to staff.
Yeah,
sorry, Chris. I was just going to say, to my recollection, they have not, but Chris, I know, has been working closer with them than I have.
They have not. As I mentioned before, they stay fairly conservative on their job counts for expansion, and thus to ensure that they don't have that failure component. So like I said, they're saying that they're adding this additional jobs, but I know that it's probably double that they may add to that facility.
Okay, second question, is there any part of this agreement that we are considering or will be considering on Monday night that is different than what we have done in the past?
No, sir. We are using the standard property tax incentive plan that was approved a few years back based on the jobs in capital investment and average wage. The point system rolled out to be 17 points, so they are on that 17-point schedule, part of the multi-point schedule that you all approved maybe three or 4 years ago now.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Yes, Mr. Siegel.
Thank you, Mr. Pumphrey. One point I would like to make is that this is in Ward 5. Other than that, as Medline has transitioned from a distribution facility to a manufacturing facility, we're really talking about fewer big trucks on Riverside Parkway, aren't we?
That is correct.
And in there, you've mentioned how they've cooperated with the Economic Development Authority in many ways, including workforce development. And that also includes their participation in Food Truck Fridays, correct?
That is correct as well.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we've made an effort to get out and build relationships with our existing industries, especially on that side of the community. And actually, just a few months ago, along with Madam Mayor and Madam Chair, we did a tour of that facility and a number of the other facilities in the area. One of the huge drawbacks to that area is the lack of retail and food options. Many of the companies over in that area, their employees have a 30-minute lunch break. And when you don't have nearby food options, 30 minutes goes by really fast. And so we heard from a number of those businesses and took it upon ourselves to reach out to a number of food trucks. The city had a successful food trucks this past summer and I believe last year as well. And so we Breezy in our office worked with April and Patrice and kind of understanding how they went about doing that, and we did it out there. The county had to approve an ordinance that happened at their planning and zoning meeting about a couple weeks ago. And so we had four or five food trucks out there. And promoted it out to all the businesses to really give them an opportunity to have a good lunch, some meal options for lunch, some healthy, maybe some not. And so we started that last Friday, doing it again tomorrow, and then again next Friday. All the food trucks said that it was a tremendous success. They actually exceeded their expectations for that. And so hopefully we can, by doing this, we can have some justification for other retailers and restaurants to locate in that area to say that there really is a base for this to survive. Also kind of plays into our Sweetwater master plan, which you all will have as well tonight. And that plan is calling for increased amenities and retail options in the area.
I understand there's 6 trucks tomorrow, and Councilman Siegel will actually put on sunscreen this time because I hope the peeling isn't showing up on camera. So.
And one will be vegan as well. So for all those who are looking for vegan options.
Okay, then I'll make that 5 food trucks to try. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Moving right along. Thank you, sir. Other comments or questions?
Mr. Chair, I was going to echo to thank you, Mr. Humphreys, for listening and doing the food trucks and bringing those out there. I did receive a couple of calls from American Red Cross and Medline to thank us for following up with that concern. And out of those 385 employees that are at Medline, I just want you to elaborate a little bit with the council and their family-friendly environment and how that facility is just state-of-the-art, and it's really a really nice place to work.
Yeah, it's a very clean operation.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very comfortable operation. It's not you're not walking in there sweating all day. It's a great environment for folks to work. They're doing research and development there. They're obviously manufacturing their product. They purchased in their last expansion, a lot of that dealt with a lot of robots that they purchased. And so those robots are kind of doing more of the material handling, packaging, the product, sealing it up and getting ready to be shipped out. So it's a great environment there. They're actually having one of their employee celebration next weekend, and so they're actually bringing more food trucks out to their facility, and then I think they're taking their employees out to Stone Mountain. So it's a great environment. They have been really successful in attracting good quality employees and really raising the bar for employment opportunities in the community.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, no problem. Other questions or comments? Okay, if not, then we'll be taking this up on Monday night for a vote, and I appreciate it. Thank you for coming in, Mr. Pumphrey. Appreciate your work in that regard.
My pleasure.
Madam Mayor, that's all we have under Community and Economic Development.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Hope your buddy made the soccer team, Chris. You little man. We'll move on to Planning and Development Committee, and that's chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have several items tonight under Planning and Development. First is to hold a public hearing and consider a request for a special land use permit for personal services massage only for property zone DCD, Design Concept Development District, with a base zone of CG General Commercial District for 0.51 acres in land lot 162, District 1, Section 5, Parcel 24, application by Source of Wellness Massage, LLC. Is there someone to represent the application for this present, please? There's no one here. Okay. Well, we would normally hold a public hearing, and we would give 30 minutes for and 30 minutes against. Is there any discussion that would be made? We do have this on the agenda to vote on it on Monday night. That may have to be changed if we do not have the applicant present. I do understand that this is a renewal. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay.
This is
Is there
in Ward
any
5.
discussion that you all would like to have in lieu of the public hearing that we obviously?
This is one of the few businesses in the Tributary Retail Center in the village. And she's very involved in our community. I'm surprised she's not here. She did make it to the zoning board meeting, and they all voted in favor of the renewing the special land use.
If I might add, this being a renewal, have we had any issues with the permittee thus far?
When the chief gets back in, I'll have him verify as well, but not that I'm aware of, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Siegel, you'd mentioned that this is one of the few businesses that is still in existence. Is this in the building where the Oz Pizza was, in that same location?
It's upstairs where the dentist used to be.
Okay. And it being a renewal, then we would like to speak with her, but we will see what happens then on Monday night. Okay? I'll move on to the next item. Item B, hold a public hearing and consider a request for a change in zoning from R2, Single Family Detached Residential District, to IL Light Industrial District with a special land use permit for fabricated metal products, except machinery and transportation equipment, for 1.59 acres, land lot 20, District 1, pardon me, Section 5, parcels 166 and 165. Application by Mr. Charles R. Furr. I see that Mr. Joe Fowler is here, so Mr. Fowler, if you will do your due diligence of introduction, please.
Joe Fowler, Post Office Box 49, Douglasville, 30134, and I'm here with Mr. Ronnie Furr, who is the owner and operator of Omega Metals. He operates his business from currently 4 buildings on Odessa Place, all of which are in the Odessa Industrial Park that was organized in the early 1970s, if I'm remembering correctly. Mr. Dodson may have a more particular memory about that, but that's what I am recalling from looking at some old deeds. So that industrial park in that section of the community has been there a long time. His current buildings are as follows: 8170 Odessa Place, that's 1.38 acres, and on it there's an 11,344 square foot building. That is lots 1, 2, and 3 of Odessa Industrial Park. Behind that, lot 4 of the park is 1.07 acres and a 6,000 square foot building, and then a very small 1,200 square foot building adjacent but to the rear. And then his third location, but his fourth building, is at 8165 Odessa Street. That is across the street from those that I just mentioned. It's a half acre, and there's a 2,500 square foot building there. That's lot 12 of the Odessa Industrial Park. In that location, he has operated an aluminum fabrication business for 22 years in Douglas County, but 20 of those years are in the current locations on Odessa Place. He's been in this business since high school, which is, asked me not to tell it, but I'm going to, 35 years. And fortunately, he has business expansion needs, and he has under contract the 2 lots that you have before you. I assume you see the plats there, 1.59 acres. These 2 lots adjoin that 2,500 square foot building that he currently owns and uses for his business. The request tonight, as mentioned, is to rezone to light industrial with a special use permit to authorize his particular use at that location, which again is fabrication of aluminum products. His plan, subject to city plan review and so forth, is to construct a new building somewhere between 15,000, maybe even as large as 20,000 square feet. They currently employ 16 individuals, and he plans to hire 6 to 10 additional, just depends on how things go. The P&Z committee unanimously recommended approval of the request, and there interestingly was a neighbor, the neighbor to the north at the meeting, who owns the larger tract that you may see there before you. He said he and his family had no objection to the request. The P&Z committee also asked about the narrow gravel road that is in front of the property, inquired about access and so forth. I've spoken with Michelle and Mike, and they've both indicated that Mr. Furr will be required to improve the road in the portion of it that's in front of his property in a manner consistent with city standards. He obviously has agreed to do that. Doing that, it's going to involve, you may know, clearing some overhanging trees and et cetera, all of which he'll have to do. There's some other things that Mr. Mettler mentioned, but would be normal in terms of your typical development requirements. If this is approved, the lots will be combined at some point, so you may hear back from us with respect to the combining of the two lots. As well, there are some fairly stringent setbacks between light industrial, as this request is, and the residential adjoining, and we may at some point either ask for an administrative variance or even come back before the council. He has had some interest in buying the lot to his west. Those negotiations are ongoing at this point. Now, with your permission, Mr. Chairman and members of the council, Ronnie can give you an update on exactly what's going on there and what his plans are for this particular use, if that's okay.
No problem at all. Thank you, Mr. Fowler. Come forward. Mr. Furr, how are you, sir? Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. Ronnie Furr, address is 5007 Cambridge Lane, Villa Rica, Georgia.
Go right ahead.
We're looking to try to expand. As business has grown here in the last few years, we've been struggling, really been struggling for the last 4 or 5 years just with room issues. We don't, we've got a lot of metal in our business. We're taking it in, taking it out during the day, bringing it in at night, and it really makes a lot of hassle for us trying to fabricate. We're having to move metal all the time to get to other metal, so we're trying to expand, and we need a little more room. As Joe said, the 15 to 20,000 square feet will give us that room and allow us to expand in some other industry, well, same industry, but a different type of product as to what we're manufacturing now.
Another division possibly as far as doing something other than metal fabrication would be fabricating metal panels rather than...
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
We're in the architectural industry. We do architectural high-rise buildings. Right now we do a lot of plate, aluminum, just 1/8 quarter-inch aluminum plate. We're looking at trying to get into some composite material, which is a thin sheet of metal, 2 sheets of metal with a plastic core in between them. We've fabricated some of that in the past, but we just don't have enough room to facilitate that.
I didn't realize it, Mr. Furr. You've been in this location the entire time that your business has been in existence. I don't know why I never asked you where you were located, but is that correct?
Actually, I started off, of course, I was in the fabricating business with K Metal Products on Highway 5 for years. And I left in '94, started a business, and I moved into the cash and carry building over on Gurley Road.
Huh?
And we were there for about 1.5 years, 2 years, and it kind of got in some bad shape. Of course, we have aluminum and steel inside our building, and we had some rain coming in, and so Charlie Dotson come to me one day and had some property over there and offered to build me a building over there. So he built me a building, 10,000 square feet. 4 months later, we said, not enough. So we built another building, 6,000 square feet behind us. And we have been there for 20 years.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
All right.
This being a public hearing, first of all, is there any question or comment from council of these gentlemen as they stand before us?
Yes, sir,
Yes,
Mr.
Madam
Chairman.
Mayor.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. Hey, thank you, Mr. Furr, for coming in, and Attorney Fowler. I looked over the comments from the zoning board. There were 6 members, and out of those 6, 5 did mention something about the road improvements. And I think there was, I don't know, a facility across the street or it was a former dump or refurbishing facility or something. Could you just please expound upon that and
Yes,
just make it clear about the improvements for the roads?
The property across the street from me, I own the corner lot. The corner building is, as Mr. Fowler said,
Yes, sir.
2,500 square feet, and this property adjoins that. I don't know if anybody's ridden by there, but the road condition is bad. It hasn't been looked after, and it becomes just kind of a dump site. We
Okay.
have a lot of trash down through there, and people just come through there and throw the trash out. And really, there's nobody there. It's not, the road's not facilitating anybody's driveway, and just most of the time the traffic is people trying to get around the railroad tracks when the train is over the tracks. So that's most of our traffic through there. But yes, the road needs to be expanded out a little bit. It's actually a one lane dirt gravel road right now.
AECom is looking at all the roads in the city, and they have they'll give us a list, and so we'll see where that road is on there. But I just wanted to just bring attention to that issue that the zoning board members did mention.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pruitt.
Thank you,
Mr.
Madam Mayor. Other questions of the individuals by council? Okay, is there anyone? Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to, I'm looking at the map here, I'm not particularly familiar with the area, but I'm seeing in lots 8155 and 8165, those are homes. Are those homes in that lot, on those lots?
2 lots that,
There's Odessa Street, and then basically if you take a left on Odessa Place, it appears that it looks like a house. It looks like a couple houses right there
I believe
on the corner of Odessa Street and Odessa Place.
it appears that the street numbers that Mr. Miller is referring to are facing Odessa Place, which would be to your south of 6379 Odessa Street.
South or
I'm sorry, what was that
I
again,
see if
Mark?
they're residential.
I'm sorry. To your east, yes. The two street numbers you're speaking of, Mr. Miller, 8155, 8165?
yes.
Okay. Which would be on the right side, it appears, of the property in question being 6379 Odessa Street.
Yes, the 8165 is a metal building on that property.
Okay.
There was, 10 years ago, there was a house on one of these lots which burnt down. I don't know if it still shows it on there, but
Ms.
Has
Wright, can you
R2.
help us?
It has
To
R2
explain.
and IL on there.
They're all buildings, commercial buildings. There's no residential in that area.
You talking about this one? The two R2.
yes, yeah, okay, these 2 lots are the lots in question.
and they're
And this is a building here, and this is my building here
Yeah,
on Odessa.
they're asking if those are residential.
No, both of those are commercial buildings.
Chairman, they're both commercial buildings about which Mr. Miller inquired.
8155 and 8165 are both metal buildings.
That is correct.
And you own those?
I own one of those.
You own one
I
of
own
those?
one on the corner.
That's all I got.
Satisfying?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Is there anyone else here as a part of our public hearing that would like to come forward and speak in favor of this application? If not, is there anyone here that would be speaking in opposition to this application? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Gentlemen, we will be back in session on Monday night at 6 o'clock. If you all would come back, we will take action on this item. Thank you very much. Next item, hold a public hearing and consider a request for a special land use permit for a church or place of worship for property zone CG General Commercial for 1.91 acres, land lot 51, District 1, Section 5A, Parcel 15, application by Atlanta Revival Center. Is there anyone here to represent that application? If so, if you please come forward, sir, and state your name and address for the record.
Name's Vance Murphy, 7540 Riverwalk Drive, Douglasville, Georgia, 30135. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, sir. Go right ahead.
So we've been at this location for 5 years. We did a lease purchase, and now we're in the purchase part of it. And so 2 years ago, we got the special use permit, and it was for a 2-year thing. And now I think the zoning board asked that they do it a permanent, so we don't have to come back. I've been pastoring for 18 years in the community, and we were on Highway 5. I think there's a church there now, Rainfire. Before that was Grace Presbyterian. Before that it was Christian Bookstore. Before that it was the Farmer's Market. You know?
Yes.
So we were there 5 years, but they wanted too much for the building, and the rent got kind of high. So this building was available. It was Rose Catholic School, and I think it was the DFAX building before that. And so we're doing a owner financing with Mr. Wilford Rowling. And so that's it. We're just applying for the special land use permit to stay there.
Okay. You mentioned that you were in the purchase process now, so your lease purchase agreement now you're converting to closing it out into you being the owner. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're in that part. It was a 10 years, and now we owe 7 years and about 10 months on it. So we're in the purchase part of it.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions of the applicant? Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else here that would be speaking in support of this item? If not, is there anyone here that would be speaking in opposition to this item? Okay, if not, I'll close the public hearing on the item, and if you'll come back on Monday night, we'll take that item up for a vote.
Sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Next item, item D, hold a public hearing and consider a request to amend the text of the zoning ordinance by enacting section 3.23 to provide for a quality growth development overlay district and to amend the zoning map to show this district. Application by the city of Douglasville. Ms. Littlefield, are you covering that for us, please?
Mr. Chairman, this is the ordinance we discussed previously when you referred it. It creates a higher level of development that will be required on the east side of the city. It is consistent with that of the county in that area as well. And the proposal is to add a map showing that overlay district to your zoning map.
Okay. Are there any questions of council concerning the item?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
This is, as we all know, since we were the ones who referred it to the zoning board, from the Sweetwater Master Plan. You should all find one of these in your mailbox over in City Hall, which is the text version of it, and there's a nifty little compact disc in there as well. This is the parts of the Sweetwater Plan that are in the city limits are Ward 5.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Mr. Siegel. Any other comment or question? Okay, we'll take that up then on Monday night. Next item, item E. Hold a public hearing and consider a request to amend the text of the zoning ordinance by amending section 2.05, table 2-1 to allow amusement or recreational attraction indoor, except fortune tellers, as a special use with the CBD, Central Business District, application by the city of Douglasville. Ms. Littlefield?
Yes, sir. This use is already a use allowed in the general commercial district. The proposal is to allow this in the downtown area. We have had at least one inquiry about someone who wanted to do an escape room, which is a sort of game, usually for adults, and that is the proposal.
Thank you, Ms. Littlefield. This being a public hearing, is there anyone that had a comment about it? And then I'll also ask if the public had any comment for or against. Anyone?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. This will set it up as a special land use permit, which would allow us, the city council, to decide on a case-by-case basis whether we want to allow whatever amusement or recreational attraction business is seeking to come to the CBD. I know one of the zoning board members voted against it because she did not want us to have that ability to decide on a case-by-case basis. She wanted just there be none allowed whatsoever, as is currently the case under the current zoning. That's all I have to say on that.
Yes, I see that. We had a 4-to-1 vote to approve this, and it is in your packet as to the reason why the lone member voted against it. Is there anyone here, any other comment? Anyone here any other person to speak in favor of the item? If not, anyone here to speak in opposition to the item? This basically, Ms. Littlefield, as you said, would give us the opportunity to approve on a case-by-case basis something as an escape room, which many of us have attended. Okay. Any other comment? If not, I'll close the public hearing, and we will take this up on Monday night. Item E, refer to the zoning board a proposed ordinance to revise provisions of the zoning ordinance on building facades. Ms. Littlefield?
Mr. Chairman, this proposed ordinance would treat all forms of residential property the same with regard to facade requirements and would give a bit more flexibility with regard to facade choices, especially in residential zones, and less reliance on brick.
We would be referring this to the zoning board. I know we've had discussion during our committee time this evening. There may be some tweaking that we want to do to that, but it will be referred to the zoning board after we look at the ordinance again, with the potential as a I forget the word I'm looking for here, folks, and I'm sorry.
Vinyl. Vinyl
Or
as
as
an accent.
vinyl as an accent, an opportunity to use vinyl or as an accent on a residential property up to a certain percentage, correct?
10% in each district.
Thank you. Any other comment? Okay, we'll take that up then on Monday night. Thank you
Mr.
very
Chairman?
much. Yes.
If you want to go back to item number A, I believe there's a representative from Source of Wellness here now.
I'll be glad to do that. Is there anything else anyone had on item F? If not, Madam Mayor, is that all right to do that?
Yes, sir. We can
Okay.
go back.
Let's go back to item A. We're going to hold a public hearing, consider a request for a special land use permit for personal services massage only for property zone DCD Design Concept Development District with a base zone of CG General Commercial District on .51 acres, land lot 162, District 1, Section 5, Parcel 24, application by Source of Wellness Massage LLC. Is there a representative of that application here now?
No?
I think I was mistaken. Sorry.
Thank you for reminding me, Mr. Siegel, but don't do me that way. That's all that I have then under the Planning and Development Committee, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Trying to clean up. So we'll move on to Parks and Recreation Committee. Our chair is on vacation. Vice Chair is Councilman Davis. You're welcome. Thank you so much. Moving on to Finance Committee, Vice Chair Councilman Richard Siegel.
No items tonight, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Information Technology Committee, that's also chaired by Councilmember Siegel.
No items tonight, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Maintenance and Sanitation Committee, that's chaired by Councilmember Mike Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have one item tonight, and that is to authorize the mayor to sign a recycle agreement with Pratt Recycling Incorporated. Mr. Roberts is going to address that.
This is directly related to residential recycling in the city of Douglasville. This Pratt recycling facility is on or just off of Fulton Industrial Boulevard. It's very convenient for us. As most of you know, has been a city of resident. We put out our containers on our pickup day, and one of those containers, hopefully at all of our houses, is a recycle bin. And so we do not carry the recycling to a waste facility. It is taken currently to this facility, which is Pratt. It's a new facility that opened earlier this year. I have visited the site. If any of you wanted to go and see the site, I could arrange that. It's very interesting to watch the process. We pick up about, on average, about 15, 16 tons of recycling per week. And so that's probably about it's close to 800 tons a year. It's not nearly as much as I would like for us to be picking up, but it is a considerable amount when you consider that recycling typically weighs a fraction of solid waste. Plastic bottles are very light, paper is very light, and so it doesn't have the weight volume. You know, if you roll your container to the street, your garbage container will be heavy and your recycling container is somewhat light. We are hoping, and I've been talking not only with Ms. Hampton, but with our Keep Douglasville Beautiful director and some other staff to try and over the coming months have some more promotional information to our citizens to increase recycling. And I just really took a minute here to sort of plug that for our residents that might see it. Recycling is extremely important, and I'll expound on that a little bit with this agreement. It costs us nothing as far as the cost to get rid of the waste in recycling. Now, there is a little caveat to that. We do have to pay for the truck and the equipment and the employees, and that does cost us. But when you compare the disposal of solid waste versus recycling going to a center, we're paying $32 a ton for your household waste, and we're paying $0 per ton for the recycling waste. Did I say that wrong? We're paying $32 for solid waste, $0 for recycling waste. So it's a no-brainer. We want everybody to recycle. It reduces the cost all the way across the board. So if there are any questions, this agreement really has more to do with our rights to be there on the property. And as some of you are in business, and you know a lot of business owners want to have some sort of an agreement when you have a routine occurrence of coming on their property, and this covers a lot of those issues. It is a one-year agreement. It has a 60-day get-out clause if we're not liking each other for some reason, but that won't be the case. We've actually had a lot of cooperation out of Pratt Industries for a number of years, but this is the first time they've had a facility close to us. So if there are any questions about that that I've not covered.
So we've been using Pratt services going in the past. There's no additional cost. There's really no cost except for our in-house cost to do this. There will be no additional cost to approve this contract.
That's right. Now, even as the folks in the recycling industry would tell you, recycling is not free. The markets fluctuate up and down. Cardboard, brown papers are the most valuable to them. The plastic bottles sort of even that out a little bit, but a lot of uses for even the plastic bottles that were not available, say, 10 years ago. And a lot of the carpet in your home is very likely made out of some materials from recycled plastic.
Are there any questions or concerns from the council? If it would be the council's pleasure, I'd like to add this to the consent agenda for Monday night. Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Madam Mayor, that's all we have. That's all we have under maintenance and sanitation for tonight.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on to Transportation Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Dr. LaShawn Burdanley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No items tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you. Personal and Organization Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Richard Siegel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We do have one item. Adopt an ordinance to enact Section 1710 of that ordinance, to adopt a policy on signing city contracts, and to amend Section 8.3 of the Personnel Policies and Procedures Ordinance to provide for violations of that policy and the city's purchasing policy.
That will be Ms. Littlefield.
Mr. Chairman, when we discussed and you adopted the purchasing policy, I think someone had asked about including it in the Personnel Policies and Procedures Ordinance as a basis for discipline when it's violated. So this ordinance would do that. I believe I had told you at that time we also needed to include something with regard to signing contracts. As you know, only the mayor and the city manager are authorized to sign most contracts for the city, but occasionally we do tend to see contracts signed for the city by a staff member other than the city manager. Putting it in the personnel ordinance and making sure that the employees understand will drive it home just a little bit better. It's absolutely essential that we have a copy of every city contract in the clerk's office and that it be valid and properly signed. This would do that. I will note for you, though, that anyone who would violate that part of this ordinance twice within 3 years can look for a minimum punishment of a 3-day suspension with pay. We've been trying to drive that point home for several years, and we believe that will take care of it.
Thank you. Comments or questions from Mayor and Council?
This is, yes, Mr. Chairman. So it says any employee who commits a second or subsequent violation in 36 months, it's a 3-day suspension without pay. After that, what happens? Is it termination?
That would be within the discretion of the city manager.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else? All right. If there's no objections, I'd like to put this on the consent agenda for Monday. We have no other items, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ordinance and Intergovernmental Committee, that's chaired by Councilmember Michael Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have one item tonight, and that is to adopt an ordinance authorizing the Douglas County Board of Elections and Registration to conduct city elections and authorize the mayor to sign an agreement to conduct elections for this purpose.
Okay.
This is your elections agreement. The agreement is very similar to agreements that the city has signed with the elections board in the past. Just to point out that the basis of payment, of course, is based upon the percentage of registered voters in the city. You'll also see Villa Rica named in the agreement as well, and you'll also see a date that this agreement is valid through July 1 of 2019. Ms. Littlefield and Ms. Lori Fulton have communicated about the agreement. It's standard, as I feel, presented to you all. Ms. Littlefield may have some comments legally that she may want to add, but it's very similar to what you've seen in the past.
I have nothing, thank you.
You're fine, Ms. Littlefield?
I don't have anything, thank you.
So if we don't pass this, then the city would have to conduct its own election, and we're not prepared to do that.
I'm gonna.
That might be
move.
interesting, though, to watch.
I'm gonna suggest putting this
For those
on
of
the
us not
consent
running
agenda
this year.
for Monday night.
Mr. Chairman, I did want to make a comment about the pay is based on the registered voters, which is 83.22% in the city, but those aren't the folks who vote. They're registered to vote, but typically we don't get 83% of voters.
Right.
So you need to vote, people. We're paying for you to vote, so the services, but that's what I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Anything else? All right. I don't know if I need to go over it again, but I would like, if it's a pleasure of the council, would like to put this on the consent agenda for Monday. That's all we have, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on to Education and Training Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Samuel Davis. You're welcome. Thank you, sir. Is there any other business to come before council tonight from council members? Thank you. Not seeing any. We'll go on with the agenda. Our city attorney, Mr. Joel Dotson.
No items tonight, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dotson. Chief Assistant City Attorney, Ms. Susan Littlefeld.
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Chief of Police, Chief Gary Sparks.
Yes, I'd just like to mention again our October the 14th, our Fall Festival and Safety Expo at the Police Department. It'll be October the 14th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and we welcome vendors that want to come out. They can contact Tammy Jewell at the Police Department, 678-293-1793. 678-293-1793. We will be having a costume competition, so you can dress up like Spider-Man or Hero, and so we have some prizes. So it's a day of fun at the Police Department. So remember the date, October the 14th.
Thank you so much, Chief. We'll move on to our city manager, Ms. Marcia Hampton.
Yes, ma'am. Just to remind you all that we do have a bridal showcase this weekend on Sunday here at the Douglasville Conference Center from 2 to 5, and that next week is Wellness Week. So those who are interested in participating in any of those activities, Ms. Alston was here last week, and she announced a variety of those activities that will be taking place every day next week, and they will be included in some information I'll send you all tomorrow.
Thank you so much. Now is the portion from comments from citizens and delegates. And if you would like to come before the body, and we welcome you to come to the podium. We're sorry you had to wait so long. But you're welcome to come and give your name and address for the record. You should have filled out a form with the city clerk. The form to hand in to the city clerk, Ms. Vicki Ackard. And please, after you've done that, you can come and speak. You fill out the form, the green form? Okay.
My name is Shelley Cran. I live here in Douglasville. I'm a resident here about 7 years. I've been wanting to come to council, but especially tonight, since you have an open period for me to speak,
Yes, sir.
I'm kind of disappointed.
Oh, give us your name and
I
address.
came
I'm
to the
sorry.
4th of, pardon?
Your address, I'm sorry.
I'm
Give us your
sorry,
name and address.
6222 Millstone Trail in Douglasville, Georgia, 30135. I came to the 4th of July parade, and I was very disappointed because I brought a grandson who I had to go up to Ohio to get, and we were there and there were no bands, no marching bands in the 4th of July parade, no high schools. I could have almost cried, really, because symbolically, a parade is supposed to have some noise. It's supposed to have some singing. It's supposed to have some bands. Douglasville had no bands, no high schools. There are at least 3 or 4 that I can think of that are in the city. Where are the high school bands for the parades? A question. My disappointment.
Thank you so much. Actually, we noticed that. Of course, July is summertime, and typically the students are on break in July, but that is something that we did talk to our Main Street director about, and the folks who, special events, to see if, and I have had, my son was in marching band at Douglas County High for 4 years, and my daughter, this is her 2nd year. So band camp doesn't start until the week before school, but I'm certain if we were to talk to the band directors, we can try to barter and see, especially with our performing arts, New Manchester High School in the county. Maybe they would like to participate, but the reason why is because it's summertime and they're not in session at that time, but we can certainly see, and we did talk about that you noticed. Thank you for your comments. We appreciate you. Come on forward. Yes, ma'am, you're being shy. Hi, Miss Morrow.
Say my name and address again.
Yes, please.
Chris Kirby, 3195 Laura Lane, Lithia Springs, Georgia, 30122. And I am here before you because I volunteered to donate the side of one of our buildings, the medicine shop, the block wall that is huge and exposed right there on that little parking lot. It does not belong to us, by the way. And but I mentioned to Patrice that I would like to donate it. Of course, we would want to approve something that was up there, and my idea was to say something like Douglasville, home of the Penny McHenry Hydrangea Festival, or something to do with the railroad. And anyway, she told me I needed to come and tell you that. So here I am.
You wanted to bring flowers too, didn't you, on Main Street?
I'm sorry?
Didn't you tell me you wanted to bring some flowers on Main Street?
I'm doing it.
Okay, you're doing it? Okay, good.
But anyway, just wanted to donate that, and of course it would have to be a mutually agreed upon mural.
Yes, ma'am.
But I think it would be a nice addition.
Madam Mayor, if I may make a suggestion.
Yes, sir. This is downtown.
That may be something that our marketing, our branding folks, marketing and branding folks would.
That's a good recommendation.
Patrice mentioned even having maybe the high schools do a competition to submit.
Yes, and that actually I talked about the having murals in the downtown.
Cool.
Just all over the city.
You got our wall.
Yeah. So thank you for bringing it to our attention, and we'll follow up with you through Miss Patrice. Are there any other comments from citizens and delegates? The floor is open. You're welcome to come forward, give your name and address for the record, and address the council.
Madam Mayor, before we adjourn, and just I may be out of procedure here, but it wasn't really new business, but I did want to congratulate Tia Alston for, I believe yesterday she was elected as the Human Resource President, or the President of the Human Resource Society of Georgia. I'm not sure the exact name, but she's done a great job since she's been here. We've had several Georgia accolades under her direction, and just wanted to publicly state how much we appreciate her.
Yes, sir. So all the human resource professionals all over the state of Georgia, she's the president of their association. And she presided her first meetings Monday and Tuesday. You're correct.
Right.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. We always want to highlight when our citizens and employees do a great job, and we have some great folks in the community, so we appreciate that. Are there any staff reports? Don't have any staff reports? Okay. Any other business to come before us this evening? Not seeing any, then this meeting is adjourned.